Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin McClendon, and here this year we've been on a pause journey. We've been working on our pauses. We are up to pause 38. The pauses not only help us to encourage our creativity, they regulate our nervous systems. It's like a Zen practice in like a really creative, artsy kind of way, and just bring awareness to what we're saying yes to, what we say no to. And I really feel like in a lot of ways now that we're coming to the end of the year, it really has helped us take control of our lives, make better, I feel more informed decisions. And I know I have gotten to know myself a little better, and many of you share with me that you're going through the same thing. So if you're new to my channel, if you're just stumbling upon it, stick around for the next 10 minutes or so and see whether or not what we share here resonates with you. And to everyone who has been on this journey with me, yay, we are coming up to the end. We have amazing journals. They're looking fabulous. And we have so many stories to tell now as a result of this journey. So what's pause 38? Old keys do not open up new doors. So it's another one of the quotes that I have tucked away among those that I just love. And I remind myself of different things. And quotes I find are little catchy ways to remind us of different things. But yeah, this idea of we often want to bring our old keys to new experiences. And as we've been leveling up in our awareness and we've been more mindful of our parasympathetic systems, which is our rest and digest, we've been more mindful of, relaxing and allowing ourselves not to become angry and stirred up and fearful and all the things that happen when we listen to media. And we've had our media fasts and we've conquered doom scrolling. And now we feel like we have a better control over what we're allowing in our ear gates and our eye gates. We're at that place where we can really think about it. I know it came up for me because I'm turning the corner on some new experiences. I'm challenging myself to some old things. I'm renewing some of the commitments that I've made, as well as I'm looking to expand my current journey and go a little deeper into a lot of my studies. You guys know that my background in anthropology, and I love symbols and storytelling. I love visual vocabulary and the way as artists and creatives we can tell our story with these visual cues in our dialogue. And so as I'm moving into that journey and continuing and looking at things differently, I find myself trying to open new doors with old keys. And so what we do is we bring our thinking, we bring our experiences, our likes, our dislikes, and all those things with us when we go on a new journey. That happens a lot when folks travel. I've traveled a lot over my life, so I sort of conquered that quite a while ago. But I know I can be on trips and just observing how other people may be handling experiences. And, we can put so much into going to this new place that we've never been to before. I think a lot of times we have this idealized, version in our minds of what that experience is going to be. Now, it's not always going to align up with those idealizations because we've never been there before, so we really don't know what to expect. We're kind of getting things from books and, movies and other people's stories and experiences. When we get there, oftentimes we're confronted with the very thing we brought there, which is ourselves. So our likes, our dislikes, what makes us comfortable, we bring all of that with us. And a lot of times it's good to look at it with awareness and say, okay, wow, I'm in this new place. It's not going to be exactly the way I want it. Let me challenge myself to experience new things or sort of think about things differently. And I find that many times people do not have the experience they were hoping for because they weren't willing to change and maybe pick up some new keys. And sometimes those new keys can be things like suggestions or trying something. You can always try something once, and if you don't like it, you can decide, I don't like it. But to maybe come in and form an opinion about something before you get started, and then when the trip or the experience doesn't go quite the way they want, you're disappointed. And of course, it could always be the location, the place, the people, the guide, whoever. But yeah, maybe we're trying to open some new doors with some old keys. And I think about that a lot too, because you guys know as a teacher, and I do retreats and on-site workshops as well as online classes. I see that happen frequently where artists come to an experience and they want to learn something new. And it doesn't have to be like, and this isn't about negative or positives. It really is about how we do things, how we approach stuff, the way our brains are wired. And, a lot of times we do have to get beyond those layers, right, to get to the experience. And as a facilitator, one thing I'm really good at is helping people get beyond those layers. I know that about myself. I've been teaching a long time. And I studied teaching as well, so I understand the pedagogies and the different things, and they're visual learners and audio learners and kinesthetic learners and what have you. And so I build my programs and especially my retreats to take in all those type of learners, because sometimes your old key could be fundamentally how you learn, and that's not going to change. Now, what I do find is awareness is such, if you know that you need to hear things and maybe your position was at the back of the room, and I've had people do this as before, approach the teacher and say, hey, is there a way that I can get a little closer? I don't want to, necessarily move anyone, disturb anybody, but if I come up close to you, if I'm standing next to you, is that going to be a problem? My hearing, blah, blah, blah. Of course it's not. So that's a way where we might have a certain pedagogy, a certain way of learning, that because we know that, we're in awareness, we take the opportunity to let the other person know. And now that's an old key, but it's cool because we've solved it, right? Many times our old keys are not in awareness. We don't even really know that we have a particular thing that could be getting in the way of the experience. So if we're thinking about art, a lot of times, you could get ready to try to do something and you're doing it the old way, and maybe not listening, maybe not thinking about it, maybe not because we're not aware. You keep on trying to do it the way you've been doing it, but maybe the instructor is saying do this and do that, and we don't pick up on it. It goes back to like when we read a book. You can read the same book 3 or 4 times and you find something new in it. You say to yourself, how the heck did I miss that? I've read this book 3 times. I thought I knew it pretty well. I think learning is a lot like that, or new experiences are a lot like that. We oftentimes don't know what we're missing. So those are just some examples of how it shows up all the time. But I think that with this particular pause, what I'm doing and what I'm suggesting to those of you on this journey with me is maybe throughout the week, when things are coming up and the flow isn't quite the way you want it to be, or maybe you're doing some kind of creative project and it's not quite going the way you want it to go, or maybe you feel like you're making the same mistakes while you're trying to correct them to get the result you want, maybe that's the time to stop and go back and maybe look at the video again, reread the instructions or whatever, And in that moment, because we're in the pause at that point, we're not trying to make something, we're not trying to get done. We've chosen in that moment to practice our pause and stop and go back and maybe reread or look at that video with fresh perspective. And when it gets to the part that you know you're having a challenge with, really look at that with an open mind. Like, look at every step of it. Because I guarantee you, there's going to be a step in there that you just didn't see or you just didn't process because it seemed a bit irrelevant. Like, it seems like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or I know that. So your brain really didn't take it in and process it as a step. And I think this is valuable in a lot of things. I think it's valuable in interpersonal relationships. Sometimes the communication or miscommunication is always around the same stuff, right? Or it's always around the same way that it was said or expressed. And these are relationships you care about, so you want to kind of figure out, like, what's going wrong here? What's the old key here that I'm trying to open a new door with? This comes up in so many areas of our lives. I know myself, as I really work on a lot of my own communication skills with my family members, with my community, with the goals I'm challenging myself with. It's amazing how I can have an old habit of speaking a particular way and it's not as clear as I think it is. And then learning to kind of like make that adjustment. And it is not easy. Trust me. Things come out of our mouths and we just go right into our own patterns before we know it. But the awareness that is in there has a lot to do with our success when we try to do something new. Like when we try to turn down a new path. And sometimes it's not working out the way we're envisioning it simply because we need to see where we are in it and what we're doing that could be getting in the way. And then in examining that, being committed to make a shift so that we can have what we want. I mean, many of us have been in the workplace. You know what that's like. You know, you have a coworker or something like that, and it's always the same old thing, but you have to work with them. So you know that the most successful way is to figure out how to work with that coworker, right? And so it means you need to go into your toolbox, right, and find a different key to be able to successfully communicate so that the team can get the job done, right? So it's no different where we sit right now, where many may be retired or retiring. Your family, if you've had children, they're grown now. You may still be in a marriage or you're no longer in a marriage. And so there's new experiences, there's new things we're challenging ourselves to. But I can guarantee you, because I have my hand up as the poster child for that, some of the things that I've done previously will keep showing up. And to challenge myself around this new direction, like I've worked on a brand new program that I'll be sharing with my community and with the community at large. And in the processing of this program, I know intimately the topic. I'm excited about what I want to share. I'm like ready to get into the whole experience. But my habits around kind of, I'm sort of a taskmaster. So once I get a rhythm going, I put it on repeat. And I can just go repeat. And as a result of it, I get a tremendous amount of work done. I get, I'm able to really kind of, get projects to ends and all that kind of stuff. But when I'm trying to shift gears and do something completely different and do it in a new and fresh way, oh boy, I can trip over my feet every time. Like breaking old habits, even though I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I got it in my mind, because I've always been such a taskmaster, I've got to break that particular formula and insert a new one in, and that's my challenge. Now, once I get it inserted in, I'm good. But that's always a challenge for me, and I know it is. So when I go into something new or something, changing directions or for the first time, I know that's going to be my Achilles heel. That's the thing I'm going to work on. And so for me, it's best for me to write the steps down, really formulate the tasks and ideas in my mind. A lot of times it could be new language, it's new ideas, it's a different way of approaching the material. And so I know I can't wing it. I need to like have it all written down, have it all before me, and really work on it. Now, once I get it fundamentally down, I'm good. I can improvise, I can innovate, I can start bringing all this stuff in. But I know myself, I've got to get it down. And if I don't, I'm not opening that new door. And so in the past, a lot of times when I would start things and they didn't quite work out and, I sort of failed at them, I'm like, why? I mean, I don't understand. And it was that. So I invite you, by way of some of my experiences and what have you, to sort of think about that, because many of you all share with me new projects you're looking at, new directions you want to go in, and sometimes it's simply, I've got to finally get the studio cleaned up. I've got to figure out why, I have so much junk around, or why I'm not able to purge, or why I'm not organized. And when you know these things and then you fall short and you don't get it done, and 6 months later you're just like, I got to do the studio, I got to clean, I got to purge. That's an opportunity for you to stop and look at each step and look at where you are in it, and then figure out, okay, where do I always get hung up? Because normally wherever you always get hung up, that's the thing you've got to kind of get in there and figure out how you can switch it so you can get over that hurdle. And a lot of times it's something just that simple to be able to get over that hurdle. So this week, and I want to hear your stories, because I'm sure this quote, old keys won't open new doors, has even taken your mind in a completely different direction than this talk that I'm sharing with you. There's so many directions this can take you in. I'm sure it's sparking different storylines. Please share below what sparked for you. You can just do it in a couple of words. You can say my old key is, or my new door is, whatever you're challenging yourself in. And then make this week your mantra, old keys are not going to open this new door I'm working on. What's my old key? And it's so funny because our subconscious will speak to us. Jung talks about it all the time. Our subconscious is available for us when we put ourselves in a position to ask and listen. And things will come up, like you'll get some concept will drop into your brain, or some new thought, or something like, oh yeah, I didn't try that. Let me try that. It happens every time for me. So yeah, I invite you to do that, and you see my journal this week. I'm sure you've already been looking at it. I really had a lot of fun with it. I did several pages. I really wanted to do a lot of collaging. And then, I used to do that technique with the zipper. I used to do a lot in my book as art books. I like the idea of how I could use it to open up other things underneath the pages. I could make pockets in the pages or in my work. And it was just a cool thing. And I thought about it, and one of the zippers kind of fell out. I'm like, okay, hold up. This is an old key, and let's put it in this door for a new, in this book for a new idea. And so sometimes the old keys can just be resurrecting techniques and stuff that you used to do that you really love, but you forgot about them. And so, that's like an old key, which is and I want you to think about the old keys and the new doors. It's not as positive and negatives. It's really just about things we used to do, or things we do that we could stop doing in order to move ourselves to where we want to go. Or sometimes it's things we used to do, we forgot about them, and it's perfect for opening this new door that we have. So old keys doesn't mean it's a bad thing or a negative thing. It just means it's an old key, and we can get to use it whichever way we need to use it for where we're trying to go. So I want to be clear on that, because I don't oftentimes see things in negative and positive, as you guys know, especially in the creative processes and stuff like that. It's just what's in our toolbox and what we need to use and what we get to remind ourselves or think about in our processes. So I'd love to hear where your old key is or your new door is below. Just a couple of sentences. I always respond to them. But I love hearing what you guys have to say. So yeah, put it below. And in the meantime, Happy journaling. I always love seeing your journal. For those who are following me on Patreon, we have a month end. It's normally the last Sunday of the month. We do our Zoom hangout. We call it Art Salon. And we just show our journals. We talk everything art. We talk everything life. So I always enjoy those hangouts. So if you haven't been hanging out and you're a patron, just make sure you look for that monthly link and come in and join us, because it's all about community and just having safe spaces to share and laugh and cry and have a good time. So yes. And thank you to everybody who hung out with me for the Silk Road workshop. Here are the story guides are in each book. The box sets are like this. We had over 200 people participate in that free workshop. We had a lot of fun. So thank you for participating. Thank you everyone who has been purchasing the kits. They're a lot of fun. Everyone has been so highly complimentary of them. Thank you so much. And for those of you who've got the kits, please leave me an Amazon review. That helps out a lot, because when other people come, people read the reviews. I read reviews. So people read the reviews and like, oh wow, it's a positive experience. It does help the sale of the products and the project and all that good stuff. So please, pretty please, if you've got the kits and you've enjoyed them, please leave a review on Amazon. I thank you guys for that. So anyway, that's everything. Love you all. Until next week, happy creating, fun in your journals, and we'll see each other again soon.